Okay, remember my name is Helen Elizabeth Dawes. And sometime I'll tell you about Helen and Elizabeth, but today I'm going to talk to you about Dawes. Because that's my last name. That was my father's last name. And my father was a courageous white man. Because he was brave enough to marry my mother, a black woman. And believe me, my mother was a black woman. She was dark skinned, darker than my hair. Smooth, soft, beautiful skin with African features and short hair. She wore on a natural before people even knew what an afro or natural was. And that was because her husband, my daddy, told her she was beautiful. Now, how did they meet? I never was quite sure about it because both of them told me two different stories and it really didn't matter. But they met, they fell in love, and they got married. Now, they were doing something quite unusual for the 50s. And my dad was in the Air Force. And when he got transferred to the South, they had to live on the Air Force Base, and they had to be very careful. Because until the 60s, people weren't too happy to see a black woman and a white man walking together arm in arm down the street. But they did. Because my dad would always say, beauty is only skin deep, and so is race. It's all what you think that really matters. Unfortunately, we got a lot of people in this country who just don't know how to think. Yes, and neither my parents, they weren't activists. My mother was a school teacher. And like I said, my dad was in the Air Force. He wasn't an officer. He was an enlisted man. He made it up to master sergeant. But he was an example of what it meant to treat everyone equally. Because he led his troops. And he treated them all equally and fairly. And he never hesitated to speak up when he saw an injustice. Yeah. Now, that's this week's story from Helen Elizabeth Dawes. Come back next week for another story. And please do subscribe.